Hey everybody, it's Amanda and it's time for the February Q&A for Patreon. So I'm going to go get ready and I'll be back in a minute and I'll probably look very tired. I don't know, maybe not. Be right back. Take a couple breaths in the meantime if you want, because I'll be ready to go when I come back. I'm just going to pause this time. Okay, back. So the first question is from Stephanie. What are the best way or ways to manage the effect of the incoming energies on our physical beings? I hope you guys can hear me. I've got these new earbuds on and I don't know if they're recording through those or through my laptop. And I always end up leaning forward for some reason. So hopefully you can hear me. Okay. There are always energies coming into your planet all the time. It is happening to all planets. And it has always happened. You also are affected by the energy of the world around you and the other beings around you. The best way to be as little affected by them in a negative sense would be to take the time necessary to center yourself and connect with what you would call your higher aspect or your connection to the whole or to all beings or all existence. And this way you're not connecting with your personalities. It is the personalities that react with fear or disease. And so if you connect with your higher self and stay rooted, we would say, in that connection, and remember that that is your real being, and then anything in your environment will not manifest in any negative way. We know that there are those who say to eat clean, to drink clean water, and that is not a bad idea, but we would say the most effective way is to center yourself in your real self. And how you do this depends on how much time you personally will need to take to remember who you really are and to stay anchored to that. It may take practice before you get used to being in that state most of the time. I was going to skip the suicide question, but I'll go ahead and do it because I think they have something to say about that. All right, so what happens when somebody commits suicide? Because your reality is a creation, and some call it a hologram, this particular creation is used for experience and learning. And so to end your experience and learning before its natural expiration, we would say, is to take yourself out of the game, so to speak, before you're finished playing. You will not have completed the lessons you wished to learn when you came here. You will not have fulfilled your contracts with those that you agreed to play a role with here. And as you like to say there, you will be kicking yourself for leaving early. As bad as it may feel when you are in this lifetime that you are in, there is always something exciting or new or better to experience in any of your given future timelines. And so, if you leave the experience, you will simply decide to come back to a similar experience to finish what you didn't finish before you left. There is no entity or impetus to force one to come into a life. It is what you want to do. It is what you want to experience, and you have set it up, and you have made contracts with your friends and coworker souls, your family. And so our advice would be to learn how to create even a small start of something that excites you, that motivates you. Find an interest to focus on that is not bringing about suffering. And when you do this, it creates a path to more positive experiences. You can learn your lessons that you set up for yourself in many ways. You do not have to suffer through them. And so we would say, when you commit suicide, you just recreate a similar experience and you do it again. There is no point to it except that the others that you have agreed to participate with will have to do some creative restructuring in order to meet their goals. And they will. There are others who will immediately step in to help. However, it is a delay for all, and it is not desired by anyone, even those who feel they have suffered so greatly that they cannot continue. Upon exiting the life, they immediately realize that was not desired, and they go right back in, if not in this particular life and time period, then to another where they can learn the experiences they wish to learn. Got an itch. Okay. Political questions, I don't mind. It's not me answering. We'll see what they say. Eek. Okay. I'm going to do both of them. For all of us, this is from Heather. I'm interested in the general underlying energies of America's two political parties, the major political parties, Republican and Democrat. meaning motivations, alignments, altruism, secrecy, intentions, idols, power, money, greed, equality versus enslavement, those kinds of things. All right, so we want to know about the two. How do they lean as far as power, service to self, service to others kind of thing? Service to self, service to others. Okay, I think. Let's see. This is odd. So what I'm feeling, I'm seeing like a red and blue, but it's like a yin yang symbol. But they're saying there's not one that's like negatively polarized and one is positively polarized. It's like an agreement to balance. And I'm surprised that they're telling me that it shows that we as a culture are coming into balance. That doesn't make sense to me. It's like they've created these roles, they've taken on these lives and created these roles to create a balance. Nobody wants particularly anybody to suffer. I'm looking for the fear because usually service to self is like fear and service to others is sort of trust, understanding, and a lack of fear, I guess. I do feel like there's a small percentage. Okay, here's what I'm seeing as the dominant for each group. The dominant of the Republicans, which is really, I say dominant, but really it's only a small percentage of the people in the like Congress, Senate, whatever. The Republican side is a feeling of comfort in the way things have always been done, right? They're comfortable with that. And so they're confident. That's where their confidence comes from. They know they're right. This is how it's been done. They're confident and they're comfortable with that. They don't have to feel fear if they believe, if they stay in that belief, this is how it's been done. It's worked so far. It's working for me. It's working for my friends, the people I know, the people I see, the people they interact with. It's working for them. They're confident in that. They don't want to change things. It keeps them from fear. It keeps them out of fear to keep doing what they've been doing. There's a tradition, the tradition sort of feeling. The Democrats, a small group, just like it's not all of the Republicans. It's a little group. It's a small percentage. Just the Democrats have got a small percentage of not safe. This is not working. It is not safe. It's fear. It's fear based on both. But the Republicans, it's like fear of change. And the Democrats, it's fear of not changing. fear of not taking action, different action to change something, or something bad might happen. And so for the Republicans is, if we change what's traditionally worked, something bad will happen. And the Democrats are like, if we don't change what's happening, something bad will happen. So it's a weird thing where it is a balance of opposing. They both have fear as a root cause, but it's like opposing viewpoints on how to resolve that fear. Yeah, so there's not, they're saying you can't say everybody, you can't say every Republican is bad. You can't say every Democrat is bad. They don't all agree with every aspect of every, like, a bill or proposed thing. They don't, I mean, there's too many options, but it feels like getting such a big group to agree on something with a lot of points inside of it, like a bill with like 57 or 100 different topics, is the difficulty. Well, one of the difficulties. So I'm looking as far as altruism. So since everybody has an ego, basically, there's going to be a part of every single person, whether Democrat or Republican, that is influenced by their upbringing, by their environment, whatever. And so they're going to react to things based on that upbringing, where they're from, what socioeconomic class they're from. And when you see their anger, it's because it's all based on a fear that they have or they hold. So, if you understand what the Republicans are saying and you're looking at the Democrats thinking they're insane, look at where the people themselves come from, what happened to them growing up. Why are they expressing things the way they're expressing things? Same for the Republicans. Why are they expressing things? It's not necessarily because they're evil and they don't like people and they only want power, although it could be for some. And it could be sometimes for some, but not all the time. It's a lot about the structure of the cultures and where they grew up, where they experienced the cultures. I want them to tell us what the answer is. Like, how do we fix it? I feel like we really need people who can hold the vibration of love to just go and sit in Congress. So it just calms everybody the heck down. So they can cooperate. They can't cooperate because it sounds ridiculous, but they can't cooperate because they're so equally balanced. But the imbalance is the like I explained earlier. I won't go back over it all again. Yeah, it's all the disagreement has a root in fear. And really, it's all fear for the self, because not as far as the careers of the people, but as far as like a deep imprinting of, if I agree to this, then this horrible thing will happen and it will spread everywhere and everybody will die and I'll die. Basically that's the root of all fears. You will die, or you will be alone, or you will be alone, basically, is the thing. So until we can get a lot of people who can, here's another thing that happens. You can be a Democrat or Republican, walk into a vote or a discussion or whatever, a negotiation, perfectly at peace. And if anybody in that room is extremely fearful or nervous or skeptical, and you don't know how to protect your energy, and you don't know how to distinguish between somebody else's emotions and yours, there's a lot of people being influenced by that panic, fear, negativity. It just goes around and people get angry. And we need to teach our politicians how to center themselves, how to recognize their own energy and their own emotions, how to get rid of core untruths and core fears. If we could do that, we would have agreement. And we would have solutions for the people without fear. Wow. Okay. Oil and gas industries versus renewable energies. USA is behind other world powers in renewable energy production and implementation. Why? Why is clean energy being demonized? Are clean energy inventions and technologies being purposely suppressed? They're giving me a very higher level answer. So what I'm seeing is we're very polarized about so many things, but like they said on the balance, only this isn't yin and yang. This is like I almost want to say like a battery pole, only I'm seeing a really long, thin thing, and there's a line in the middle, and here is renewable energy, and here is old non-renewable coal, oil, whatever, natural gas. Is that renewable? I don't know. Anyway, so, and they're like this, right? And what we want to see is not a big glob of all of them together, but we want to see this flowing back and forth. We want to see it all work together. I feel like maybe that means the renewables have time, not the renewables, the non-renewable sources have time to replenish, but that they work together somehow. But what about the negative effects of the non-renewable, like oil and coal and burning and whatnot? Okay. They're going down a super higher level track that doesn't really meet the question. Are the technologies being suppressed? No, but they're not being supported as much as they could be. I'm not I'm not seeing people purposely suppressing things. I'm seeing like a kind of where's the benefit of it sort of thing. How do we do it so that it benefits? Nobody's going to take it up unless it's beneficial. And it comes down to individuals and small groups. It's not so much like there's one big group saying, let's not allow this because then our stuff won't be worth as much. Although that is happening, it's more like this person over this part of it is saying, I don't know what else to do. We can't survive if we don't have this piece. There's a bunch of people here. They're depending on this. It's not just me. It's all these people. And then this other person, same. There's this. And then, there'll be a war if we don't, if we can't maintain our wealth, then, there'll be a war and all these people will come in and invade and all our people will be killed. Blah, like there's so many reasons why these things are being maintained. Again, it's all fear. That's what's keeping it's like a big, I want to say shell. It's like a big shell is being held in place because of the individual parts of it. If you could start to show the individual parts of the shell ways to benefit from renewable sources so that they could maintain their safety, their safe feeling around it, which will happen as it grows more here and there. People go, okay, well, that works. Okay, that's effective. Okay, they're actually, making money from it and they're actually able to support their communities and yada, yada. Then there will be a switch eventually. I mean, and there has to be because non-renewables run out. I mean, you got to keep looking for more sources, and that eventually will not be cost effective to continue doing. It's already kind of not cost effective. So I'm asking, like, even in the supplies we need for renewable energy products like solar panels and electric cars, there are shortages of the materials. You still have to mine the materials for the renewable sources. So benefits versus costs there as far as the environment goes as well. But they were showing me that there are like individuals coming up with really great ideas on how to run things with plants and, easier ways to do it. It's just going to take more people sharing those technologies and supporting those technologies. A lot of technologies are supported with the stock market, which is like people who have money and invest. I mean, they invest to make money. So we need more investments in emerging natural technologies. And they're there if you look for them, anything you can think, any way you can think of, like, I don't know, what would I Google? I remember Dolores Cannon talking about like some kind of rocks that emit light or something that somebody mentioned in a hypnosis session. I don't know where I got that, but like, how do we make rocks become light sources? Like, if I Googled that, if I dug enough, I bet I could find somebody who's figured out how to do that in some way. So I feel like we just have to support those things. I don't feel like there's like some kind of evil presence that's purposely suppressing. Maybe in the past there was, but I feel like that time is past. Yeah, so we just have to really share, support, put our money into that, and like if we're inspired, we need to start getting these things in front of people that have a lot of money to invest in them, to see the benefit. But the main problem right now is, I guess, because of fear, because of worry of lack, the people who invest want to see a return in like money rather than a return in, oh, look, we've developed this awesome technology that is so much better. They need money because our world hasn't switched to that other way of being yet. So I guess we could, individually, if enough of us individually started really investigating these new technologies and just saving our money until we could implement them, and just living that way ourselves. And then when more people see how we're doing it, and then we, tell our friends and they tell their friends, it could spread in grassroots movements like that. Yeah, I think clean energy, like all of it, things are demonized because of fear. Because, for the leaders and stuff, you're responsible for a lot of people. And I know that there's a lot of, we have a lot of fear that our leaders are all about power over others and all about themselves, but they're not all like that. They have fear too, and they're worried about whether they're going to do right by people, whether the people are going to turn into a mob and come get them, or, I don't know. It's crazy times, but yeah, I don't get the feeling of, I don't have a feeling of a big group of people conspiring to block anything. It's just fear. Fear is the theme of the day. Everybody's afraid, and that's causing so many problems. So many problems. Okay. Keishi, question. What's your perspective on information claiming that Gaia has decided to shed this body and that we are all to be moved to the new Earth in another galaxy or return home to move to other planets to continue our contract's lessons? On the other hand, we get messages that logically imply that we stay here and fix our problems because we shift here and the darkness is removed and what we need to develop to heal the Earth just starts being uncovered, along with visitation and the release of all the secrets. I understand that there are different timelines, but it seems these two conflicts can't both exist unless we move to copy the Earth with the same problems, which doesn't make any sense. Agreed. Do plans keep changing, or are there different groups on the outside with different agendas and methods as to how we are to shift? Besides the dark side, is there a power play amongst the light side? Because after all, this is all a game. All right, so let's come back to the main question. So, are we all going to move to a different Earth, or are we going to stay here and evolve and fix this Earth? That's the first part. All right, they're speaking directly. What is more interesting to you? Moving to a new earth where things are peaceful, there's no polarity, and everything goes as you wish it to go, or staying on a planet to help it evolve, to help it figure out how to balance, to help yourselves figure out how to step inside negative polarity and strengthen your knowledge of balancing and strengthen your ability to take the lowest vibrations and transmute them. We ask you, what would be the point of embodying on a planet that duplicates the state you already naturally are? When you are imbalanced to the point where you could exist on a planet of positive polarity and live in harmony, you do not need to embody any longer. And so a creation of a new earth only makes sense as what you would call a vacation destination. In other words, it only makes sense as purely for the experience of embodying in a human vessel to enjoy only the most positive and pleasant aspects of an earth life. There is no growth in that experience. It is for fun only, we would say. Earth in its current form is sought after by you because you can practice. It is not an easy planet or a vacation spot, we would say, but it offers so many opportunities. There are so many things you can practice that enriches, when accomplished, the all. You are positive polarity at source. There is no negative polarity except for the absence of a positive polarity. And this is one place where you can experience the intermittent absence of positive polarity. And so you come here because here is where you can find that. Otherwise, you would not embody at all. And so from our perspective, it does not make sense to move embodied humans to a planet where their souls cannot experience any growth or transformation. It is the object of the core or the soul or the extension of source energy to experience and a perfect earth, as you would see it, does not allow for much experience at all. And so that is the core of the issue. And all else is minutia or minor points. Wondering and curiosity about those outside of the earth experience, creating effects on the earth experience, they are all a part of what makes the earth experience so interesting and rich and complex and expansive. To wonder about opposing light forces is, we would say, nonsensical. There is light and there is absence of light. There are not two kinds of light in conflict. Light cannot be in conflict. If there is fear of any kind, it is a portion of the absence of that light. To add fear, suspicion, doubt, worry, anxiety, dread is to put a cover over a part of the light so that you cannot experience it. As light. There are many different purposes for coming to this planet at this time. However, if you use this time to evolve and expand in spite of the cover over the light, or because of what you would call negative polarity, you may choose then to come back to Earth at a more advanced time for the joy of seeing your work as it has progressed. But again, you do not need to embody to do this. To our view, the only reason to embody is to expand, which in turn gives more information to source and the all. We hope this helps. And my music just shifted to something else. I'm listening to, what am I listening to now? Hold on. Okay, it's all good. Still good. Whew, okay. Okay, that kind of made sense, I think. Okay, Another question. In reading this one past life account of someone whose civilization was involved in the human experiment early on and how they were cultivating animals for food, I was fascinated and amused to learn that chickens were devolved from dinosaurs because they tasted good. They were a vicious dinosaur, is how it was termed. I can't even picture what they must have been like, and it's very funny to imagine. Can you tell us more about them? I often wonder if that's why, like we had chickens for a while, and they're very sweet and everything, but if one of them would run towards me, I'd get kind of scared for a split second until I was like, it's a chicken. You know, why are you scared? It was like some kind of like basic like fear when they start running at you. And I thought it must be because of like when they were dinosaurs. Okay. Let's see. Tell us more about chickens being created from dinosaurs. I'm not able to see anybody like making chickens out of dinosaurs. So I was looking to see whether this was an evolutionary thing or um, if they were just bred smaller over time, like they. I'm just feeling like I feel like there was there's something in the environment that meant that being smaller was a benefit, and so the bigger ones of them weren't able to survive, like they were getting maybe eaten by something because they could be seen, and the smaller ones were able to hide or were not visible, or I feel like there was a color change as well, like the different ones of a different color, they couldn't be seen, and so I also kind of feel like the ones that weren't as smart were well, I was going to say the ones that weren't as smart were the ones that got caught and eaten, but then that would mean they didn't reproduce. Maybe it's that the ones that weren't as aggressive got caught and eaten, and that's why they, they were seen as vicious. And when I saw the bigger things eating them, it seemed like other dinosaurs, not like a cat or a bear or anything like that. But bigger, similar animals. And for some reason, I'm seeing them as green, like green chickens. I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen a green chicken, but it looks green with a longer neck. And the head looks different. And maybe smaller feathers that almost look like they have a very regular pattern. I mean, pattern is in arrangement of the way the feathers are arranged. There's a very short, very short time of being eaten in that way. Like just a blink in the history. I can't exactly see the people who are eating them like that in that way. I wish I could get more clear info on that. Huh. Okay, anyway. Wow, that's almost an hour. Time flies when I'm in a crazy state. I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions, it's possible that I might have got some information that I didn't say out loud. That happens sometimes when I'm channeling. I'll think I've said something and then I'll go back and watch it and I'll be like, I never said it, but I'm just sure I did. Anyway, yeah, so that was fun. Thanks for the questions, y'all. And we have a book group. I'm a little more than halfway done with my raw material. Raw material. That's funny. Anyway, so we gotta figure out like what time zone everybody's in that wants to participate so we can do a Zoom at a time that works for everybody. But more on that later. Until then, have a lovely rest of the week and hope you're staying warm. We've got snow and very cold temperatures here, but it's supposed to warm up next week. So stay warm and have fun. And I love you guys, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.